Before we bring our guest on today, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what it's actually like to interview the artists that shape the soundtrack of our lives?
Or have you ever wondered what happens behind the scenes when music history is being documented in real time?
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So if you love music, memories, and the moments that shaped the culture, make sure you subscribe and join the Flashback Squad.
Yay!
Music doesn't just entertain us, it marks the moments in our lives, the songs that we grew up with, the performances that we watched on TV, the artists whose music became the soundtrack to the entire generations.
And behind many of those moments are journalists and storytellers who were there documenting it as it happened.
So our guest today has spent years doing exactly that, interviewing artists, covering historical moments in music, and helping to tell stories behind the culture.
And so today we're going to run the tape back and hear what those moments were really like from someone who witnessed them close up and personal.
Our guest is veteran music journalist, media strategist, and founder of Media and Repertoire, Billy Johnson Jr. Welcome to the Flashback Squad, Billy.
Thank you. I feel welcome. Yeah, so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're now officially part of our Flashback Squad family. Yay.
Yeah, when I downloaded my background, I was like, yes. got my name on it. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Put your name on it. And I was doing, a little bit of research, to know more about you than I already know. Mm-hmm. And you have so many bylines. I mean, you have tons of them. You've written for Yahoo Music, Rolling Stone, Vibe, XXL. Let's see, who else? Source, Entertainment Weekly. Am I missing anyone?
Hollywood Reporter. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't write for XXL, but the other ones are, I did.
Okay. Yeah, they probably, quoted you or something. I'm sure.
You know what? I did end up something I wrote in the source was a funny story, was quoted in XXL. So I'll take that. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And you may quote me. And you may quote Billy Johnson for sure, because he always gets it all right. And, none of that, gossip. This is like true journalism.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Flashback Squad, the podcast where we revisit the moments that shaped us, the music that moved us, and the memories that still make us laugh. My name is Sabrina Horton.
Woo! And I'm Laura Rosario. And listen, if you enjoy music, nostalgia, like we do, go ahead and subscribe, like, and tell us in the comments what song instantly, gives you a flashback.
Yes. We're all about the flashback. And I just remembered, okay, we've been playing this little game, sort of, Billy. So we will say a word or a phrase, and then we will say, what's the first word or phrase that comes to mind?
Okay.
So I'm going to just say flashback.
Disco fever.
Disco fever.
For me, because I love the words in there, but flashback for me is flashlight.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yes.
Okay, that was very close along the lines of what I was going to say. Flashback, who's that?
Who's that?
Dancing to the lady.
Don't get me started with Tina Marie.
Yes. Oh my God, we love her so much. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, she's actually one of my favorites. And someone had a poll on Instagram, not on Facebook, and they put two old school singers and it was Shaka Khan or Tina Marie, and I was like, I know people are going to come for me, but I don't care. Tina Marie, it was Tina Marie or Shaka Khan.
It's close, yeah.
I love them both dearly, of course, but it's something about Tina Marie, like her songs. They just grab me. I really love her.
Mm-hmm, me too. Mine would be Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan. Growing up in LA, actually, because she lived close to us on around Fairfax and Pico. So my aunt used to go over there all the time. So
wow.
And so I will do Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan. Okay.
What about you?
No wrong answer.
Exactly, there isn't. Sabrina, what about you?
Well, yeah, I would run into Tina here and there. I saw her in the parking lot of El Compadre, across the street from the Guitar Center on Hollywood Boulevard. Either Sunset or Hollywood Boulevard. And I was like, oh, I really wanted to say something to her, but I didn't do that. Yeah. Let her go give her Mexican food and have her moment.
I never interviewed her, But my wife and I had seen her a couple times, and one time we were walking through, whatever, and I bumped into her, and just in a split second, because I'm the type of person, if it's somebody that I see in the room, I don't care. I'm going to say something to them. But I don't always say the right thing. So I bumped into her and I said, "Oh my gosh, your show was incredible. I couldn't imagine how you were in your prime." And I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way. My wife was like, "What did you say?"
Oopsie.
I just meant like, "Whoa, she killed it." I do wish that I had.
That's what you meant.
It was totally meant from the right place. It just she was phenomenal. Yeah, and she just had this blank look on her face, like, "What the hell?"
What did hell? Okay.
That's hilarious.
I just remembered another encounter I had with her. I'm sorry. I just want to, since we're talking about Tina Marie, and then we'll get back on track. She sang, she performed in Celebration of Gospel one year. She sang His Eye is on the Sparrow. And I needed to set up her radio interviews, her radio tour, and I had her home number.
Ooh.
So I called her, her direct number, called her. And, a woman answered and said, hello. And I said, hello, may I speak to Lady T? Instead of Tina Marie, I said, Lady T. And she said, she laughed a little bit and she said, this is she. I was so excited. Oh, I love her so much.
Oh, I love that story. So you got to actually be on the phone with Lady T.
Lady T.
Yeah, and I love that story. And I'm gonna bring it up later in our conversation, but if people should be taking notes, because that's a very, very key thing that you said.
Okay.
Oh, you can say it now. You don't want to say it now?
Well, I know we're going to talk about like just how to make a connection when you're doing an interview. And it's about how do you break that ice, like how do you break the ice? So sort of like when she got that call and you said, I speak to Lady T, like you cut through a lot immediately. Like she knew like, oh, this is someone who knows my work. Because only like a true listener to her music would know that that's a nickname of hers. So
well, I love that. So don't say something like, but I liked you in your prime, or you might have been better in your prime.
Yeah, right. Hey, if I would have said, hey, Lady T, that would have
okay, that's a good story. Billy, we always like to rewind the tape a little bit. So what is the first thing that sparked your interest in music, journalism, and telling the story behind the artist?
Well, just briefly, really quick, my dad was a musician, so there was always lots of music in the house. We had a music room. And so we would always just go through music. We lived in a 3-bedroom house. The 3 kids shared a room, so there could be a music room, So that was a pastime, just thumbing through albums. So I just got it naturally. Always loved music. I didn't think about music journalism until I was in college, because I started college as a computer science major. But I lived in I lived in LA, but I moved to Rialto right when the group JJ Fad was taking off. So
JJ Fad,
so there were originally 5 girls in the group, and when I was in the 12th grade, I saw it go from that to like getting picked up by Ruthless to becoming 3 girls to them getting nominated for a Grammy and all that stuff. And they're from that city, so that kind of got me.
From Rialto?
They're from Rialto, yeah, they're from Rialto. So I wanted to. So I was sort of like, I want to meet them, and I would write letters to the fan club address, and until the mother of Juana, MCJB, called me, and they ended up letting me help write the newsletter.
Oh, wow.
I was like 19 in college and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my major, and so as I was kind of getting to know the behind the scenes and what was going on when they did We're All in the Same Gang video, and I was finding out these things before they went public. And I just thought, and I was reading all the magazines like Word Up and Black Beat and stuff like that. And I was thinking like, wow, can I make a career out of this? Like, could I get a job, And that was what sparked it. So it was them really giving me this opportunity. And, like I was just in college. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was really eager and persistent and, just trying to figure out how I can get a foot in. And they really opened up the doors for me. And so, I changed my major to journalism, got a job at the community newspaper, started doing the college radio. But yeah, I really, I thank them for sparking the interest.
Wow,
I love that.
That is so cool. Like, so that was like your entree. Who would have thought? Super.
Yeah. And I'm still friends with them today. Yeah.
Yeah.
And from a fan club, because they have fan clubs now, but it's more like on Instagram. You just have to instant message somebody, or if somebody made their own. But you sparked that, rewinded my mind. So remember fan clubs that were actually handwritten.
Yeah.
handwritten fan clubs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
You
I
had
would
to you had to fold the paper, put it in an envelope,
yeah,
put the address and a stamp, take it to the mail.
yeah. So I
That
started
makes it
like I helped
more like more real, you know.
yeah, it totally was. So I helped the mom who was running it. Aunt Virgie. So I ended up she ended up becoming Aunt Virgie. But I would help her open up the envelopes, read the letters, and
Aw.
I would go to it wasn't Kinko's, it was another place. We'd go print the newsletters and then handwrite the labels and send them out and stuff like that. And then she
Mhm.
eventually let me start writing it. So that was it was really
That's so
cool.
cool.
That is, I love
I didn't
that.
know that they were from the Inland Empire.
Oh yeah. So two of them, Sassy C is from LA, but MCJB and Baby D are from Rialto.
Oh,
Okay. Because I later moved from LA because I was born and raised in Cali, LA baby, and then we moved to the Inland Empire as well in Rancho
Oh,
in the
okay.
80s.
Oh yeah, in the 86.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so around the same time I moved there in 86.
Oh, you did.
I also
Okay.
moved in 86, yeah.
that's so cool. Out there in the 909. The
Oh,
909.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, 909.
And
Mhm.
thankfully, next Fridays is what put even the city Rancho Cucamonga on the
Yeah,
map.
right. Yeah,
No one
right.
even heard of it before his.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's very true. I liked it. I like it out there actually. Yeah.
And so, Billy, do you remember the moment when it hit you like, wow, I'm really in the industry now?
Yeah. Yes. So I was still in college and I had at this point one of my deans, he was a not well, he wasn't one of my deans, but I was the BSU president. And so, got to know a lot of the black faculty and staff. And so one of the deans, um, I told him that I wanted to be a music journalist, and he said that one of his former students when he taught at NYU was Kate Ferguson, who was the editor in chief of Word Up magazine. And so,
Oh,
so he said, "Well, if you want to write for her, let me know." And I was just starting to work at the community newspaper, so I told him, "Okay, give me like a year to get some experience." And so once I reached out to her, she did start letting me write for her. And by January of 1993, she called me and said, "Do you want to go to Oakland to interview Too Short on the set for Minutes to Society they were doing a story on Minutes to Society soundtrack." So yeah, so I was maybe was I 22 or 2023. I was, I still had like one more quarter of college. And
mhm.
so yeah, it was actually I'd only been on a plane once when I was a small kid. So they flew me from LA to Oakland to go
A
to the
whole 45 minutes. No, I'm just
yeah, yeah,
kidding.
yeah. To go to
But still, no, that's big though. I was like, oh yeah, it's sounding good. Like, keep going. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, this is super, super cool. So I went to Oakland, and then because I was going to go to Dangerous Music Studio, that's where they were having the press junket. And so when I got off the plane, there was someone with my name on the card. There was a
Uh,
driver, for
right.
for
Mhm.
me
That's
over
special
there.
attention.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like a couple years ago, I was thinking it would be cool if I could have a career doing this, and now I'm writing for Word Up, and they have one of their sister publications, the best of rap and R&B. So this may have been for the best of rap and R&B, but now they send me on a trip, and then there's a driver picking me up,
Mhm.
and so I was like, whoa, this is real. Then I got there, and it was the first time I was in a room where there are other journalists there. Honestly, I was so in awe. I don't even remember what other publications were there,
Mhm.
but I just remember just being in a room like, whoa, I'm here,
Mhm.
and I got to interview, Too Short and some of the other artists that were on the soundtrack, and it was just a great experience. I literally went home the same day, but that was the first time, that I was in that experience, and I thought like, whoa, I just have to keep pushing because I was still working at the community newspaper and I was freelancing for Word Up and Too Hype and Rap Pages and Rap Sheet and that kind of thing. But the thing was, I wanted a full-time job as an editor at a music publication, and that just lit the fire even more.
Oh, I love that. So,
Wow. So wait, so where did you go next after the community newspaper? What was
Yeah,
your next, what was your next
I
step?
worked at the community newspaper pretty much for I think 2 or 3 years while I was in college, like from 90 till 93. And then I still continued to write for them for another year. While I was doing this, I was freelancing, just trying to freelance as much as possible. One thing I did that was really smart. I didn't know, what I was doing, but it was a good position for me because I was an entertainment editor at the community newspaper. So they let me do whatever I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And that put me in a good position because I would just call up the record labels. I didn't even know when I first called a record label, I didn't even know what a publicity department was, even though I was a communications student and was learning about this, but there was no entertainment, professor or program at the school I went to.
It's nothing like on the job training, especially
That's
in this field.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. So I called like they would get some music coming to the newspaper. So I would literally I remember, I would just look on the back of the CD and I was like, okay, TLC, they're on the Face Records. It says such and such New York, whatever. So remember, you would call 411. So I would dial, so I dialed like 1-212-555, whatever it was. And I said, can I have the number for LaFace Records? And then I call LaFace Records and I say, can I have the department that sets up interviews? And then I would say like, hi, I'm Billy. I'm from the Black Voice News. And I would like to interview, this person. And they would say, okay, well, you need to send us some samples of your writing in a copy of the publication with the letter. So I would do that, and I would send them a nice portfolio of the writings or the articles that I had written. And so I just kept doing that. And so I was writing weekly for the Black Voice News and interviewing a lot of people. So what I would do for the 5 magazines that I was trying to write for or writing for, I would tell them, hey, next week I'm going to interview SWV, and then there's Too Short, and then Ali Shaheed Muhammad from A Tribe Called Quest. I'm interviewing them for the Black Voice, but would you like an article for your publication? So that was actually super cool because the way I was positioning myself was like someone who was already like in the mix and had contacts and was doing stuff. And Word Up in particular, they would liked that, and so they would take some of those articles, and so I just kept doing this, and it was a machine. Like every time my articles would come out in magazines, I go to Kinko's, I make copies, I make it look real professional, just I replicated the media kits that I was receiving. And I was sending those to the other publications, to Vibe, The Source, and all these places to say, hey, can I write for you? So after a couple of years, I was getting more and more work. And then that's how I ultimately got the job. After the community newspaper, the first editorial job I got was at Rap Sheet. It was a West Coast based hip hop magazine. Here in LA, it was Rap Pages and Rap Sheet. There's also Yo Raps.
Now, which one of those was Dorsey Fuller over?
Yeah, Dorsey Fuller, who actually helped me get the job there. Yeah, that was Rap Sheet. And so it looked like the newspaper. Actually, I feel like I have one right over here.
Just so happens. I have a copy right there.
Look at this. Oh, this is so funny. So this is one of the copies here. This is DJ
Okay,
Quick.
DJ Quick.
And this is actually my first cover story that I wrote for them was on DJ Quick.
That's nice. That's so nice. You have your whole little what you call it? What we would call this? Your
archive.
Yeah.
I used to do much better before I started working online. With having everything organized. But yeah, that was 1995. So so I got the job there as a managing editor. And so it just everything really went smoothly. I got that job. I think I was 24 right before my 25th birthday, and things were kind of taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. When you're young and you're in college, you just feel like everything's going to fall into place. But I was really happy because things were moving along.
Wow, that is such a good not a deja vu, a reminisce.
Yes, absolutely.
Reminiscing. See, that's what we love doing here is rewinding the tape and just those memories and like how it felt and everything back in 1995, and when we had to go to Kinko's and make copies of the press clippings. And so you were something Laura likes to say, tooting your own horn.
Because I say we should toot our own horn more, because Sabrina doesn't, and she has so much to toot about. So that's why I'm like, toot your own horn, girl. But see, Billy, look to your right. You see that on there? Can you tell us a little bit about your time with CBS News?
Okay. So I over the years, one of the things that's been really cool about being a music journalist is that I've been featured in other publications as a music expert. And so on my LinkedIn, and then in terms of tooting your own horn, every time I go there, I go like, should I change that up? But I do want people to at least have an idea of some of the things that I've done. And so I've been a correspondent for these various outlets. And so while I didn't work at CBS, but they did use me as a regular correspondent to talk about music related issues. So that the one big one that says CBS, when Aretha Franklin passed away, so days leading up to her passing away, I was communicating with them about, okay, it looks like she's going to pass, and we would love to have you come and give some background on her legacy and the impact that she's made in the music industry. And that just made me feel really good in these instances that, they're preparing these stories and they pretty much can pick whoever they want to come and provide the story, but that I was able to establish a good rapport with them, and they liked me, and they would have me come back. So there's a couple different CBS shows that I would appear on. The one to the right over there with the yellow, My Name in Yellow, that was for CBS This Morning. And so I was on there a few times. I don't know if that was because I was on there to talk about Beyonce when her Lemonade album came out. And then I was on there to talk about Kanye West before, and even Maurice White passed away. So that was cool. Though there's one me in the brown shirt. I was on Unsung. I'm on 2 Unsung episodes, and so that one was about Yo-Yo. So that was really cool.
Looking good, looking good. Can I ask a question right here? Because
Yeah, totally.
so for Unsung,
Yeah.
you got a check.
Wait. You say did I get a check? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did not. Yeah, I didn't. Mm-hmm.
Not for Unsung either, huh?
Yeah.
And not for CBS either.
Yeah. So no, I didn't get paid for any of those things. But I mean, in hindsight, I mean, maybe I should have asked. I think at the time, especially since I was working at Yahoo, I really didn't care. I was looking for exposure whenever they called me to do it.
So this is going down another lane here, but this is sort of like what Monique's soapbox is about.
Mm-hmm.
She keeps talking about Lee Daniels she wanted to get paid for her tour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But these are the kind of things you don't get paid for these things, because the payment is the publicity and the visibility and the credibility.
Yeah, well, what I have since learned, I mean, every scenario is different. I mean, there are some things I've gotten paid for. There's some DVD documentaries that were made for sale for DVDs that I got paid for to provide commentary for that for the news station. But then also now too, working as a publicist and having clients and stuff, I have seen scenarios where they do provide compensation. It just depends.
Yeah.
Everyone does. I haven't seen it in 100% of the cases, but I do know that it exists sometimes, and so you should just ask.
Right. So
it doesn't hurt to ask.
So you're saying, like, whenever you see, well, back then, when you see a correspondent coming on a news show that's making millions of dollars themselves, they don't pay the correspondents that come on?
I think it's a case by case basis, and for sure, like, let's say if you're watching, because I have friends who are journalists and appear on television. I know they have representatives, that secure them paid opportunities to do it. And I think too, like if you're watching CNN or something and you see certain people who are on there pretty regularly, you probably can assume that they are getting compensated for it, because it is a lot of work. I mean, because even if you only are on there for a couple of minutes, you need to be prepared. So and even if it's a subject that you cover, and they were always asking me to speak on subjects that I covered, I was very familiar with, but I would still want to take my time to make sure that I'm most up to date. And I would even make phone calls sometimes, just to get some extra insights so I could bring something to the table. So I do think that people should be compensated for that, but I think it's a case by case basis.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the next question. So you've interviewed so many artists over the years, probably maybe hundreds, right?
Yeah, it's for sure hundreds. I don't know the number, but there are times where I was doing multiple, 2 or 3 interviews a week, and just that's a lot. And for a long time, I mean, I was a journalist for 25 years, so yeah.
Yeah. So from your perspective, what makes a good interview or a great interview? Like, what separates the conversation from a typical press interview?
Well, I think the first thing what makes a good interview is preparedness of the interviewer. Like, you really need to do your homework. You cannot walk into an interview and have not prepared. And I am very honored to say that there are several times that the person that I interviewed, they're like, whoa, you asked some good questions, or you did your research. The first time I interviewed Beyonce for her first album, that's what she said at the end of the interview. She said, whoa, you did your homework, and so I remember in that instance they sent a media kit. It was literally like 100 pages of clips, and I read everything. I already knew a lot about Beyonce and everything, but I read everything. And the reason why that's important, what people have to think about is that the people who watch the interview are people who are interested in it. So if that's going to be their fans, that means the fans, they're pretty knowledgeable. So it's a waste of time. It's a waste of their time if you ask the same questions that they already know the answers to. So this is a tricky thing, right? Because
wait, before you do that though, Billy, because you just passed by, you interviewed the Queen Bee. So before we go on to the technical stuff, yes. How was it? How was her energy up close and personal? Because
that was for her first solo album.
Yeah,
she looks like she smells so good. I just have to say that. She looks she just.
What I would say is that I interviewed her like for that album, the B-Day album, and then 2 Destiny's Child, the 2 Destiny's Child's album. So maybe it was 4 interviews that I did. But the first time, what I was really struck about is that it was in a fancy hotel, and she came in just naturally beautiful, right? Like light makeup, her hair was just straight. She had on whatever. It was very simple what she was wearing, no shoes on,
no
just
shoes.
barefoot, because her the way she was sitting, her feet weren't going to show.
Oh, doing the Sade thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I just thought she was just very, very nice. It wasn't a big entourage, her publicist, Yvette Knowles Shore, was was there, and it was really really cool. Like I didn't feel intimidated. Now when I interviewed Janet Jackson, I was nervous. I was
Oh,
very nervous.
uh,
But Beyonce was very I don't know. I just felt very comfortable. It didn't seem like a big gigantic production or anything. It just seemed very, just very at ease. And so
was a difference because the reason, sorry to cut you off, the reason for you're more nervous with Janet, is it because her whole history and she's Michael Jackson's little sister?
okay, yeah,
Michael Jackson.
There's a couple
Okay.
things. Like Janet's demeanor is same to Beyonce, very 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 nice. But the lead up was a lot more involved. Like her people, they demanded, and this is something that journalists traditionally don't do. You don't give your questions to them. But like they demanded that we give them the questions, and they kept editing the questions.
Oh,
And it was very strange. This was after the Super Bowl, so that was
oh yeah. So at that time,
the
yeah.
Super Bowl happened like in January, February. Then my interview was in March or something like that. So
no wonder then.
so they were very stringent upon everything, and and the way that they were scaling my questions back, I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell do I have left?
Yeah. We're gonna talk about her favorite color or something.
It was that part was difficult, and so it kind of made me feel like, well, what kind of situation am I going to walk into? Like if they're already being like this, like I didn't know. But when I got there, though, this is the only time this has ever happened. They said for the room, it was on camera interview, and they said no one could be in the room but you, her, and the camera person. And so everyone had to leave out. So I appreciated that. But I think that was maybe the big difference between the two of them.
That sounds like the VIP room or green. Well, yeah, like so she did the Soul Train Awards that year too, and I worked that. And so when she had that really cute white dress on, so when she came, so her area, had to be empty. But like that's cool. They want to be mentally prepared and all of that, not distracted. So
I think that's what she said. Because I may have asked her about that, but no, I thought she was really down to earth, and I mean that was just a dream. I'd always said once I interviewed Janet Jackson, I could stop working right.
So you started your career as a journalist, but over time and now currently, you have transitioned into a media strategist, and the name of your company is Media and Repertoire. Not repertory, repertoire. So now talk about to us and everybody watching, what does a media strategist actually do?
Yeah. So when I after being a music journalist for 25 years, I'd worked at Yahoo Music as a senior editor for 18 years. So in 2016.
You said 20, wait, how many years did you work
18.
Wow.
Good job.
18 years. So it's really actually cool because I consider myself a digital media pioneer. I started there in 1998, where it was still really early. Actually, before it was Yahoo Music, it was a company called Launch that we syndicated content to Yahoo, to AOL, to MSNBC, and Microsoft. So then Yahoo bought it within 2 years. So I was really at the beginning. I won't say the beginning, but still early stages of that, which was really cool. But by 2016, Yahoo was shutting down Yahoo Music. And so they only kept the managing editor, who folded into Yahoo Entertainment. And so at that point, when the layoff happened, I was kind of at peace about it. I've been there for a long time. I kind of wanted to do something else. I wasn't sure what. And so I was just brainstorming, like, okay, what else could I do? I didn't want to continue being a journalist in the same way, where every day I had to look for a buzzy moment stories, to get on yahoo.com homepage. I just didn't want to do that. Some people were like, hey, what about TMZ? And I was like, no, that's not the direction I want to go in. One of my friends, who actually works in the Christian music space, and he had taken me to this conference to talk to Christian rappers about like how to market themselves to mainstream media. And he's like, Billy, you just have so much knowledge about, how to help artists navigate this. And what do you think about being a media consultant or a publicist or something like that? And I wasn't really sure, but I was like, I don't know, because for a journalist to become a publicist, like, would that mean I can't ever be a journalist anymore? I wasn't sure. But literally, he brought me a client. He said, I have
and how about this? Look, here's a project for you to start with.
He brought me a client who said they want to hire you, put you on a retainer. And so I thought, like, okay, well, I should try it. Hey, I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of started from there, and I really love it. I love like leveraging all the things that I've learned over the years on the other side. So with my clients, I can inform them on how to best approach the media. I know how to pitch the media. I know what they need. I know what comprises a good media kit. I know how often to follow up in the proper ways to follow up. I understand how to best pitch their angles, that would increase the likeliness of the media being interested in them in the first place, and just really,
Right.
and so it's actually been a wonderful experience. But it was kind of like a trial. I wasn't sure, but like once I just got more and more acclimated to it, would be good. And so when I first started it, and it took me about 9 months to come up with the name, but when I came up with the name Media and Repertoire, then I was like, oh yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
it's a play on artist and
Artist and
repertoire,
repertoire,
right?
yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
real quick, because,
Yeah.
Billy, I also have a question. But before I do that
Yeah.
question, because you've mentioned Media Kit about 3 or 4 times, I know what
Okay.
that is. Sabrina knows what that is. And
Yeah.
obviously you do. But really quickly, what is a
Yeah.
Media Kit
Yeah,
comprise?
a media kit are the essential things that the media needs to make a decision if they want to cover it. So they need like a bio on whoever the artist or the client is. They need photos that they could use, and they need a press release that's explaining the project and any other information that you think would
Okay.
be helpful. Mhm.
Because it's more than a portfolio that comprises the portfolio. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so now back to the question. And so now, how did your experience as a journalist influence the way that you help artists and organizations, shape their stories today in
Yeah,
now time?
it's like a B2B situation, for when I'm dealing with the journalists, because I can speak their language. I know for sure, like sometimes I would deal with publicists, and they would when they would promote their client, they would go so far, and maybe exaggerate too much that it feels like a sales pitch. You know what I mean? So I
Mm,
wanted to be careful with that. I wanted to give them the information they need, but like not do it in a way that makes them feel like it's so much of a sales pitch that they don't believe it, but instead give them the information that they need to make the decision. If
oh, I love that.
they need stats, they need the right references, whatever it is that's going to get their attention to make sure that they have that. And so my background as a journalist, because I've been pitched for so many years and worked with so many publicists, so many incredible publicists, and saw what worked and what didn't work. And also, as a journalist, I've written for so many magazines.
Mm,
So not just my own experience working at Rap Sheet and Yahoo with the Black Voice News, when work with Entertainment Weekly or pitching Vibe or The Source or all these other publications that I wrote for, I just kind of, developed the understanding of what the people were looking for. And
gotcha.
so I've received good feedback, and it's a difficult job. I will say that. Hats off to people, who work in this field, because it's really difficult to get the attention of the media and to get them on board. But I've gotten a lot of feedback, where some of the journalists have told me over the years, like, hey, wow, this pitch was great. Like I had to tell a television producer say like, oh wow, everything in your pitch was exactly what I needed to. I didn't have to change anything. I took it right to my producer, and they said, yeah.
Ooh, oh, I
Ah,
love that.
I,
that's so good.
had a client I wanted to get in Essence, and then when the Essence editor, who wrote back and said, yeah, they want to cover it. I said, do you need any information? She said, no, everything I needed right here in email you sent. Thank you. So,
Well, I should get you a bunch of new clients after this
okay.
podcast airs, right? They're gonna be lining up at the door.
That made me feel really good, like, oh, that is my goal, and then when I'm talking to my clients too, like I would tell them like, no, like I had a client, there's an event or something, we're inviting a media outlet, and they said, okay, well, here the ticket price is. I said, no, you don't charge them, you know what I mean? Because
Mm,
I was like, I didn't have to pay for anything. Like, no, we need to get them. We need to get them in the door and things like that. So, but this is
mm,
my experience. So when I said like for 25 years as a journalist, I didn't pay for anything, and they're like, okay,
mm.
give them the ticket. You know what I mean? And the person
Oh,
was
I
there.
love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've heard all kind of pitches. I remember when I pitched you when I was at BET, the thing was at that time we had a lot of reality shows
Yeah,
featuring artists, like Lil Kim, DMX,
Mm,
Keisha Cole,
yeah,
so it was, the tie-in was the musical artist is now
yes,
in this reality show. And
yes.
I know you covered some of them. I
Mhm.
know, I can't remember which ones,
Hey,
but
you're like a list colleague to work with. So with Sabrina,
aw,
uh,
in my email, I was like, oh yeah,
that's so nice. I'm turning red. Oh,
Mhm, mhm.
and
well,
on that
you're
note,
A-list too, though, Billy. You are.
yes, yes. And on that note, I want to bring to our minds into the forefront our
Mhm.
sponsor, which is Music Memory Lane. And then Sabrina's going to quickly tell you something about it.
Yes, okay. So Music Memory Lane is a nonprofit organization that my family started last year. And our mission is to restore the joy to seniors, particularly seniors with dementia and Alzheimer's. And we do that through music and movement sessions. and we go to assisted living facilities and personal care homes for, folks that are in their, 80s, 90s, some of them in their 90s, and we play their jams from their era, back in the 40s and
Looking
50s.
for therapeutic programs your residents will love? Music Memory Lane blends nostalgia, movement, and joy. Perfect for senior living and memory care. Book your free demo today. Music Memory Lane, where memory.
Yes.
Just a little promo situation there. But as we're talking about music history, the songs, they don't just, they're, when the charts come out, like making the top Billboard Top 100, what have you, they're on paper, but they're just, music is like alive. When you hear it, it brings back memories like at the drop of a dime. So from your perspective, considering, music over the years, we won't say how many decades on this, over the years, what is it, in your opinion, that is about certain songs that permanently attach themselves to our memories?
I mean, it may be different for everyone, but for me, when people make the comment, music is a soundtrack of our lives, it's really true, because you go back and think of a particular memory, and if there was a song that was associated to that memory, it really comes to mind. Like I remember when I was 10, and the only time our family had a big Thanksgiving, thing where all the different families were all there together, and it was at a hotel.
Ooh.
And Rapper's Delight had come out. All the little cousins, all the little cousins, we were sitting around singing to the hip hop, to the hip,
Hop,
and
hip hop.
and they're so, I mean, and that's, I mean, that the song, that is the singular song that comes up whenever I think about that moment. And I feel like there's just so many times in life, like when I was in college, my roommates had a party. And I say that because they were in a fraternity, and their fraternity hosted this party at our house. And DJ Quicks Tonight, was out. You know what I mean? So like, when I think about that memory, that's the image that I have in my head. So I feel like we associate music to a particular moment, or in something that happened, and it just, and I can't separate them.
Wow. So you said Rapper's Delight. That came out like
That was 1979, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
late 70s. So yeah, the late 70s. Well, yeah. It's funny how the progression of a decade goes, but the late 70s, early 80s, to me, in my opinion, and a lot of folks, that was a fascinating time in music. So disco was just kind of breaking out, MTV and BET were beginning. And then along comes Off the Wall.
I know. Actually, that's the same year, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The same year. Oh, the same year that represents.
Well, I remember I was in the 5th grade, so so that had to be what, 79, 80. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that. And then with Off the Wall and Thriller, that time frame, it seems like the rules of music just really transformed. And music videos became events, and album releases were bigger. So from your perspective, what do you think made the Off the Wall and Thriller eras so groundbreaking?
So
there he is, right there. Yeah. I'm saying, no, just like
no, music was always a big part of my life. But I do feel like even when Off the Wall came out, it wasn't as visual as Thriller. Even music videos, wasn't where it was by the time Thriller came out. But just the vibe of it, I Want to Rock with You. That nice groove. I remember my mom, she used to work out too, got me working day and night.
That's a real good aerobic song. Yes.
I remember she did aerobics to that, and I just remember, even his look. I had my Jerry curl, and everything. Back at the time, and actually, people used to tell me, "Oh, you look like Michael Jackson," a little bit, which was funny. But it just felt good. Even as a little kid, I could really feel how different it was, and it was like a whole album that I appreciated, opposed to just a song. And Thriller, again, then of course when Thriller came out, music videos were new, but just his performance was just so over the top, so supreme.
Now, is there a moment, Mike? Is there a moment, Billy, that during Michael Jackson's career where you thought, okay, this is bigger than music. This is maybe a performance or video or premiere or like a cultural reaction to something that he did? Were there was anything that sparked
Well,
you like, okay,
yeah, for me, that was the first time that I really saw, and it's not that this didn't happen before, but this was the first time I really saw like that people, kids were coming to school trying to look like Michael Jackson,
Uh-huh.
like,
Uh-huh.
you wanted the jacket, like you want,
and the glove?
The jacket, the glove, the
the,
penny loafers,
yes, yeah, I had
high
Pio.
waters.
Yeah, my personality was a little kind of shy, so I wasn't gonna do like the jacket and the flooding pants and the sprinkle, but I did have penny loafers. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And the Jerry curl. You have the
Yeah,
Jerry curl and the penny
I
loafers.
did have it. I did have the Jerry curl. So I just feel like he just made it cool, and I just appreciated his artistry. But that definitely, to me, I felt like that completely transcended just the music. And there was actually one kid, Jimmy. I think his name was Jimmy in the ninth grade, who dressed like Michael Jackson every day. Like he
Every
wore
day.
he had his hair, and I remember we were like, "Whoa," he really loves Michael Jackson. But I thought it was cool. I mean, he was positive, and all these this string of hit records, and everything was really good. And I really enjoyed it. And of course, when Thriller came out, I mean, that was just, we had seen nothing like that before. So he just completely.
So did you have the opportunity to interview him?
I never met Michael Jackson. Actually, I don't even think I saw all the concerts that I've been to in my lifetime. I don't think I ever saw him live. I don't think I ever saw him.
Me neither. I did not.
Me either.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But,
yeah. I'm sorry. My dad told me that when I was a baby, they took me to see Jackson 5, but I don't remember.
So it's in your brain somewhere. You just can't pull it out.
Yeah, right.
Now, what do you think about the new Michael Jackson biopic movie coming out where Jafar gets to play Michael?
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. I'm happy that his nephew is playing him. I've been seeing in the news that Jermaine and Janet supposedly have some differences. I haven't even gotten into that story. I want to see it. I totally wanted to see it for myself and just see how well. Just see how well it's done.
What is the beef though? No, what is the beef? Because I was talking to Sabrina. I was like, how did they choose which nephew was going to do it? Because there's so many. But go on.
I don't know. I don't know the backstory. I did hear what the headlines have said is that maybe Janet Jackson had, she doesn't like some parts of the storyline or something like that. So I don't know. Yeah, this is Jermaine's son, but I don't know. I don't know what the issue is or how they picked, this particular son. Given this particular family member, given that there are a lot of nephews that are in.
Well, his voice is very close to Michael's.
Yeah.
It sounds when he sings and talks.
Okay. Yeah. That's a really good. That's a really good resemblance. Yeah.
It is.
And I'm sure that when they were auditioning, a lot of impersonators showed up.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that they cast a family member.
Me too.
So.
It touches your heart.
Yes, it does. It gives the whole story more oomph. It feels like there was a waste of time to even do a huge, but I guess but not waste of time because it brings more attention to the movie. When you say, "Oh, we're auditioning for this," even in the back of their mind, they already know they're going to pick that because that's the best choice. Family member.
If he's an actor, can pull out the acting chops. But if you think about it, like he's got all the family insight. His dad, can prep him, etc., and give him, because I think a lot of times, like I think even like when Angela Bassett did Tina Turner, which was phenomenal. I don't know how much direct research she got before, even though she did a phenomenal job. But I think like just even having your father who can give you all these details about backstories that kind of answer the why questions will probably help, in terms of how you carry out the role. So I want to see it for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We are counting. Well, I'm counting down the days. So let's talk about we can't help but bring this up. But when he passed away in 2009, what do you remember about covering that moment as a journalist?
Yeah. What's interesting is it happened the day before my 10th wedding anniversary. So I was working from home that morning. It was a Friday because my wife and I were just going to go to San Jose, and literally like we were packing up the car to go. And then I got a call from, the Yahoo front page editor saying, hey, did you see the news? And they wanted me to write something right then and there. So it was it was very emotional because the shock of Michael Jackson dying. And then it's like, it's my 10th anniversary and I worked through every vacation, and it's hard to take off and this, that, and the other. And like literally, we're about to walk out the house. But we all understood. My wife, she understood like I needed to do this. But what was really special about it is that in these instances like this, they wanted they had to basically report that Michael Jackson died, but they would have me write something that was more personal, like what it personally meant to me. And so I was able to talk about how much he meant to me personally, and even like reflecting on what it was like being a kid during the off the wall time and having a Jerry curl, and people tell me that I look like him, and how it was such a compliment. But then also just just being really really saddened to see this news, and then consider
Do you have any pictures, Billy, too, of that you could send to Sabrina and I so we can add it? Yes, I would love a picture. We would love that.
Yeah, I do. And of course, when you see it, you're like,
yay.
But
that'd be so cute. Yeah.
I do.
I want to see you with a Jerry curl. I can't imagine it.
Yeah. I totally have a Jerry. I totally have a Jerry curl, but I'll send that to you. That's so funny. And so I'm sure I did like a for ABC or something. I think I did like maybe when we was getting closer to the funeral, and we were talking about like all the things that were happening around the funeral and where it was going to be held and the crowds. And I was on ABC Channel 7, to give some insight on that. And I'm sure there are a couple.
Yeah, the coverage was like it took over the news cycle for those at least a month, I would say.
Yeah, and we at Yahoo we would do a lot of stories. Telling old stories. There's so many Michael Jackson things I've written over the years. Like one time I interviewed Ola Ray, who was a woman in the Thriller video, and I had her talk about what it was like. I interviewed one of the associate producers for We Are the World to talk about what that was like and working with Michael Jackson, at that time. But just finding these stories about his legacy and maybe little known facts, or talking to people who who work closely with him to get details. Also interviewed Quincy Jones, a couple times, and of course we talked about Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's just really so touching. Yeah, I think everybody has a lot of Michael Jackson stories. It's around his passing. So, yes. But now we're going to move on to something else that's a lot of fun, and it's called our rapid fire question segment. So you're going to pick your favorite. Okay. Print magazine era or digital media era?
Print magazine era. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Yes. Stevie Wonder or Marvin Gaye?
Stevie Wonder.
Because what? Go on, say it. You were going to say, because what?
Stevie Wonder, just the deeper catalog and just the range of things that he covers. It's not all about love. Celebrating Martin Luther King or the social political messages and love, everything is all encompassing.
Yeah. I love Stevie.
I do too. Billboard or Vibe?
I'm gonna say Vibe. Yeah, just because the way I was just really drawn to Vibe. I have about the first issue with Tretch on the cover, like the pre-issue, and from that moment I was still in college, and I said, "Whoa, this is perfect. This is perfect for me." I immediately reached out to them to start trying to write them.
So was Tretch? I thought Rosie Perez was on the first cover, but was this like a preview to before?
I love Rosie.
And let's confirm that. But it was like a preview issue that and it Tretch. But if I'm wrong.
Oh no, which it don't really matter. I have a box of them somewhere in my garage. Yeah. Do you have boxes? I know you have boxes of magazines too.
I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. We have to come on again another time. We'll invite you back again, and we'll see so we can go through some of those. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, we love that.
Thank you.
Okay, L.A. Reid and Babyface, or Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis?
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They go too deep.
Okay. Front row at Madison Square Garden or backstage access?
Backstage access for sure.
Okay. Vinyl liner notes or Spotify playlists?
Vinyl liner notes for sure.
Okay. Bad Boy era or Death Row era? Bad Boys
Death
for life.
Row era.
Woo, woo. Now, BET Awards or Soul Train Awards?
BET Awards. Had an opportunity to go to the first BET Awards, and it was so fun. The host and the whole energy, I really love that.
And for you, Sabrina, that's the same. Are you going to go with the same because of your vast experience with BET?
Yeah. And
well, you love Soul Train too, though.
Well, because the Soul Train Awards did air on BET, so
okay.
I mean, well, later they did, but
So what would you choose?
Yeah, I'd have to say BET Awards because that was my
the year Monique hosted. I mean, hands down, still.
Okay. She was great. Yeah, she was great.
Now, talking with the artist or talking with the producer, and that's the last one.
Yeah, no slight to the producers at all, but talking to the artists, for sure.
So, Billy, thank you so much.
Oh.
Sabrina and I are honored that you're part of our Flashback podcast family, and this has been such a great conversation.
Yes, it really has. We appreciate your time, and we don't want to keep you. We know you got to tend to your clients, but we appreciate you a lot, and you are officially in the Flashback Squad.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I had a lot of fun, and I'm very excited for the podcast. So keep up the good work.
Oh, thank
you so much. So we will be seeing Billy again because now he's officially part of the family. And so if today's episode brought back a memory, a concert, or a song that you hadn't thought about in a while or in years, make sure to subscribe,
comment, share, facts, all of that. Yeah. And so we will catch you on the rewind.
Yay!
All right.